Action. Welcome to Movie News. And today we're going to have a few topics to discuss. A lot's been going up as we're heating up in here into the blockbuster season of the summer. We'll be talking about at the end of the podcast about what's still left on tap. But before that, let's get into some of the latest news that's been circling around. We'll start with the MCU because a lot of news is coming out of this universe, and not all of it is good. One of the biggest things that I've been hearing recently is the Blade remake. It has been having a lot of issues. Jordan Peele, I believe, at one point was in talks possibly for that, as well as X-Men, but he's no longer involved with either film. And then Marshall Ali has dropped out, and then the director, I hear, has also just dropped out. So a lot of issues coming out of the Blade front. I do know that Wesley Snipes is supposed to be in a multiverse version of himself in either Deadpool or one of the upcoming ones. I know that, but what I guess, Pete, my question would be for you: first of all, did you like the original Blade series or not really?
I like the original Blade. I mean, and then the sequels happened, and they were not as good as the first. I mean, the first one was just so different.
Yeah,
And Wesley Snipes was, at his peak,
yeah,
and so it just kind of worked.
yeah.
Um, if they're having this many issues, then it's probably best to scrap it and start over at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Typically films that have this many issues, the last one I can remember that had this many issues, and I still liked it, but I think it would have been better if they spent more time on it. Was Solo. I remember Solo having a lot of issues, and ultimately Ron Howard came in.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but I think it still needed more time to gestate. And I think that's kind of like to you what you're saying. I think, man, if you're having this many issues already, let's go back to the drawing board and wait for it to do it right, because I don't think anybody's in a hurry for it to, like I said, we've already had a great Blade series. You know, if you can't beat it, then stay home,
Yeah. It's not the only one getting some bad play right now. I read that the Captain America 4 right now is testing really poorly with
Yeah.
audiences. That's not a great sign at all, especially because of the way the MCU has just not really performed since Endgame, really. I mean, there's been a couple of sparks, but nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if we talked about it here yet, but they're ultimately they planned on, you know, Kevin Feige is listening and paying attention, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna pull back on some of the content. We're not gonna release as much, and we need to basically come back to the drawing board, because he's aware that they haven't really had a major hit, really since Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I think, was the last one after um what you
Endgame.
call it, Endgame. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I know they're finally starting to tool up um for both Secret Wars, Avengers Secret Wars, and uh the other one, which is I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we'll see.
A lot of people returning for those.
Yeah, I heard there's gonna be over like 60 quote unquote characters in that one. So we'll see. I've also heard like Josh Brolin is set to return as Thanos for one of them as well. Avengers 5 is supposed to include She-Hulk, Hulk, Captain America, Moon Knight, and Spider-Man. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. There's also supposed to be a fifth Thor movie with Chris Hemsworth, and I've heard him say, now we both liked that movie. We liked the fact that it was a pure comedy as opposed to some of the other things. But
Yep.
I know even our friend Mark Mead was not a fan of that movie at all, or his son Vic. And so I think we were probably on the other end of the spectrum, as opposed to what is like, I don't know what else there is to tell.
It was nice. It was a nice change. It was
Yeah.
something different. It wasn't the same just typical story superhero movie. Like I thought it was quite refreshing, and I thought that what's his name, the director, I thought he did a fantastic job. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah. And also comic book news. Zack Snyder wants to make The Dark Knight Returns with Ben Affleck. Um,
Stop it.
Yeah, I
Stop.
would say thanks, but no thanks, Zack Snyder. I just
Like who's he pandering towards? Like what person on this planet would go, let's remake The Dark Knight, which is iconic.
no. I don't. I think that is. It's not a remake. It's going to be off the comic, The Dark Knight. It's
They
not
just
going to be.
they
Yeah,
can't just keep giving this guy all this money. It's just I just don't get it.
yeah. He's just a little too CGI based for my liking, and I think that's what Nolan did so well. Was there were still a lot of practical aspects to it, and I don't know. I think I'm done with Zack Snyder and any sort of Batman thing. I've also seen that Jonathan Nolan would like to do the Dark Knight 4. Um,
I can get on board with that.
yeah, I can be in, he was the writer. Obviously, his brother was the director, but Jonathan Nolan was the main writer, I believe. And so if he could make something work, I always thought there was more, especially with they kind of let it with Joseph Gordon-Levitt being Darkwing or Robin, however you want to give it. I still wish they would explore that avenue, even if Christian Bale's not a part of it, but I still would love that. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Totally.
Next, oh, we'll talk about it later, but lot of hype coming out of the Deadpool Wolverine universe. Uh, I think at this point, I mean, we've heard everything. There's a lot of post credit scenes that are supposed to like blow everything away. At this point, this is probably my number one anticipated movie of the year. I think Dune 2 was kind of high, but I don't know if there's a film I'm looking forward to more than this film. Where
It's
do you
gonna
remember where
be
this one
crazy.
ranked in your?
Yeah, it was up there for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, we've been anticipating this one, but every time, a couple months go by, then there's just more that people are talking about with this film. And people are getting into specifics. Like, how do you know about the end credit scene? Like somebody had to have leaked it. And then like, it's just causing all of this like buzz.
yeah,
And I just, that could really help you a lot, but it could also really, really hurt you. Like if you go
yeah,
into a movie just so hyped up, it's never going to live up to that sort of
yeah,
hype,
for sure.
for lack of
Uh,
better words.
yeah, I mean this movie can't come soon enough. I'm actually surprised it's so late. Like I feel like it should be out now versus it's coming out the end of July. Usually a
Yeah.
film like this is like, earmarked for June.
Well, they
But
want to they want to hit that the end of the summer with a bang.
yeah, for sure. There's a couple Star Wars news. There's a Star Wars Skeleton Crew coming this Christmas. There's another show called or movie. I think it's a show, The Dawn of the Jedis, and they're saying the Jedis will be nothing we've ever seen before. There's some talks about a Darth Maul series. Have you seen The Acolyte yet, Peter? No.
No, not yet.
I started it, and I thought the first episode, like I was into, but I feel like it's kind of going downhill, and
Well, shame.
I'm just it just doesn't really I feel like it's paced a little too slowly
Mm.
and what I thought like Ahsoka did so well was there was a lot of action and really it was one of the more action-packed type of series that we've seen. I mean, I love Mandalorian. Boba Fett I thought was okay, but I thought this, we're getting back into the Jedi again and get to see more of that type of stuff and it's just really slow paced and
It's just
I
too tough for me to get invested in a series. Like it's with the amount of films that we have to watch, and then you got family, you got work, you got all this stuff going on. There's no way I can watch a series. I can't even watch a series for more than like 20 minutes before I go to sleep at night because I'm not starting a movie at midnight.
yeah. Uh, it- there's also a film called The Instigators with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck. It's another Boston heist film. So
Like
there's
the town.
yeah, like The Town exactly.
It's like the
Uh,
town, but then you throw in Matt Damon.
yeah, I'm,
I
I'm
could
I'm all for that. I'm all
I
for
could
that.
get behind that.
Yeah,
I love
there's also a Hugh Jackman film that he's supposed to play an older and darker Robin Hood. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've seen some real Robin Hood stinkers with Russell Crowe. We've seen, and then wasn't there one with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, that was with him and the Kingsman guy.
Yeah, so and then there's that one. Obviously, there's the best one of all time, Prince of Thieves, which is
Yeah.
the greatest iteration. I love Hugh Jackman, and I love Robin Hood from that one movie. So yeah, I mean, it's about time we get a good Robin Hood, especially
Just kind of they got to stick to the practical again. I mean, I just watched the original that not that long ago, and it still holds up very well. And I think that's a big part of it is keeping it practical because it's the 1600s, and if you're just all CGI and it takes you out of
Yeah,
that,
you won't.
that time
Yeah,
period.
you
So
won't. I mean, that was the brilliance of Braveheart. Like there was
yeah,
just nothing fake about that movie.
I know.
You were in that
74
world.
people died in the making. I'm just kidding. Uh, Also, there's another film that I read about that stars Anna de Armas, Sydney Sweeney, Vanessa Kirby, and they joined the cast of an upcoming survival thriller called Eden, which is directed by Ron Howard.
And on set, it was really kind of awkward. That my three girlfriends meeting each other and all hanging out with
Yeah,
me at the
exactly.
same time. Like it was really uncomfortable. Because those three, good Lord, beautiful women.
And then just a couple more, Pete. J.J. Abrams is reportedly making his own Back to the Future inspired film with Timothée Chalamet. Are you
That,
okay? Are you okay with that, or
I mean, as long as it's not attached to that franchise, I'm fine with it. You know, he could take an idea.
Yeah,
Timothy Chalamet is just continued to impress. J.J. Abrams is just he's going to come in, he's going to crush.
yeah,
You already have a
yeah. If it's an original, I'm all for it. Just
yeah. As
I
long
think
as it's not,
preserve.
and that's the impression that I get when I read Back to the Future inspired film. I'm fine with that. You want to be inspired by one of the greatest scripts of all time,
Yeah,
an almost perfect film, then go
like
for it.
like what I think would work, especially now, it'd be kind of funny is if they go back to 1985 because now that's 30 years ago, and back that's what they did in 1985. They went back 35 years ago, whatever it is. And so I think now is a great time to do it, is because you can go into the 80s and that could be kind of a fun adventure that you go through. And it'll be obviously a little bit more relevant to today's audiences. You'll get the jokes more. And then you can just update a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean? And then again, kind of have fun with the future. You can do the second one can be about the future, which is 2050, and because the first one was so off in terms of besides like the Cubs winning the World Series, but the automatic close and all that stuff, like we haven't quite hit a few of our milestones, but
We're so close to getting those sneakers, though.
I know the hoverboard was close. They're getting kind of close to that. I mean, they have a practical one, but it's not like what it was in the movie.
Yeah.
um And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. It's supposed to be an R-rated live action film. I've also heard they're trying to recruit the original April O'Neil who played in the 90s live action
Hmm.
version. What do you think
Well,
about R-rated Turtles film?
no, I love it. And the image, the first image that you got to see of it was quite breathtaking. It was a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
So you could tell that it was going to be dark. I would imagine it's going to be very violent. As long as it's like a true rated R and it's not like a PG-13 rated R, then
right.
fine. If you're going to do it, then just do it.
Yeah,
Don't those are some of the best films is when somebody decides to make a movie and isn't like worried about making 50% of the country or the world
yeah,
upset.
yeah. Because in this film, apparently Michelangelo is the last surviving turtle. Splinter's gone as well, and so the premise sounds amazing.
Right.
I agree with the direction of it. If you're going to go dark, go all the way. Don't pull any stops.
Yeah.
And very
That's the
similar.
only way it would work.
Yeah, very similar to like what Jeremy Renner's character. He was. Remember, he was like a Ronin character in Avengers, where he kind of went off the deep end himself, and he was
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so. I mean, obviously, make it more darker, but yeah. And then lastly, Pete, this is a surprise, but I heard Spaceball 2 is in the works with possibly Josh Gad. I'd be super curious to even know how they're even going to do with it. Is it based off of the original? Is it That's what I'd be.
Well, the thing that would concern me is that movie was so Mel Brooks. I mean, that's what made it a
Yeah,
classic. It was done in a Mel Brooks style, and the pacing and the comedy and the acting. Um, and I've worked with Mel, of course, Paws of Fury fame.
right.
Um, but I don't see how he would. I mean, unless he's like super sharp and on top of things still, which I wouldn't be surprised because when I worked with him, he was still, and that was just a few years ago, he was still on top of his game and was just as funny as ever. Um, and I don't really know what his writing is about nowadays, but he would have to be a part of this in order for it to succeed on some level. He can't just slap an approval on it and have it work out the same. I mean,
Yeah,
we need Mel Brooks to be involved with this if he can, in order to make this a success. Yeah, because I don't think anybody from that original Spaceballs is even alive anymore. Pullman's
yeah.
not alive.
Well, John Candy's not. Rick Moranis
Not
doesn't act.
around. Um, yeah,
Daphne Zuniga and Bill Pullman are.
no, Bill Pullman died, no?
No, he's alive.
Oh, I'm thinking of Paxton. I get
Yeah,
them.
Bill Paxton died.
I don't know. I think Bill Pullman passed. I think he did. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, no, he's still alive.
Oh,
Don't kill him off yet, Pete.
his agent's not really sure
Yeah.
anymore. He probably thinks he's,
He was in that Independence Day. I remember that. He had
oh
that
yeah,
beard. Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into box office. This is we got an interesting week when we're talking about the box office. So the number one movie, of course, this week was Bad Boys Ride or Die. This was its opening weekend, and it came out firing. It had a $100 million budget. It came out firing with 56 million domestic. Uh,
Nice.
it's up to, since this is Thursday, it's up to 70 million domestic, 100 million. I'm sorry, 120 million worldwide. So on pace to make its money be a positive, which is excellent. They're about 40 million, which shouldn't be an issue to hit. So that's good. Again, we love to see
Well
movies.
done.
Yeah, that was one we were looking forward to. We both liked it. So if you have not seen it, definitely check it out. The second
Good.
movie, Pete, and this is probably a shocker, but the number two movie last week was Garfield, which pulled in 10 million off of a $60 million budget. And that's up to 70 million domestic, 181 million worldwide. That's what you call
That's crazy. That means they're going to make more of them.
they'll make a sequel for sure. Well, we haven't seen it yet, so let's before we judge it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I
I'm
mean,
gonna try. I'm gonna try and see it only because of those numbers. Like I have to.
I mean, Chris
Chris Pratt,
Pratt
Samuel
is just,
Jackson. I mean,
Pratt is just backing up a Brinks truck to, wherever he works, because if he hits this one and gets another sequel, they're going to do another Mario Brothers.
yeah.
This guy is now going to be a part of like two massive franchises, animated.
Oh, animated. Yeah, well, he'll be like in four franchises total now.
Yeah,
That's
and
so.
all he's got to do is talk. They don't have to
Yeah.
use his likeness or anything.
Third film we have is If. That pulled in 7.8 million this past weekend. It's up to 95 million domestic, 162 worldwide off of a 110 budget. So
Good.
remember, like
I'm
we
happy.
talked about, remember we talked about that you always split the worldwide, you always split the worldwide box office, and that's like what the take home is. So they're about at 80 against 110. So it's right there. It's a really good film. I hope it is considered a success by the studios because I really enjoyed that film. So next film we have is The Watchers. That pulled in 7 million this past weekend. It's up to 9 million overall, 13 million worldwide. So obviously it has not been, I don't think, fully released worldwide. So it's
No,
only a $30 million budget. Have you seen that movie yet, by the way?
I saw it, and I'll hold our review for our other show, but
Yeah,
and this is M. Night's
daughter.
daughter, her directorial debut, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just wish, yeah, this could have been a much better film. I don't think it. I mean, it's clear that it was the first time.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And then
It's still fine. It was
yeah,
a fine movie, but
yeah. Lastly, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This pulled in 5.4. It's awesome to still see this on the charts because this is
Incredible.
several weeks. So its budget was 160. It's pulled in 152 domestic, 362 worldwide. So it's definitely made its money already. So that's good to see as well. And they're obviously, like we talked about, they're probably going to be making two more. This is a new trilogy. So all good news coming out of that. And we have, lastly, we'll go into upcoming films. We already mentioned, obviously, Deadpool, Wolverine. That's the big one. The next major film that I have coming out is, well, we have Despicable Me 4, July 3rd. June 28th is A Quiet Place, day one. We also have Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. Super looking forward to that one. That might be my number 2 movie looking forward to all year.
Yeah.
And
you give me Kevin Costner in a Western.
yeah, and it looks great. I just saw the new trailer the other day. And then we have Twisters, July 19th. So we still have a lot of great films. I'm looking forward to that one. That's Glenn Powell. He's been crushing everything he's been in lately. And so
Yeah, I mean, we're not even mentioning half. There's a ton. You're going to see billboards about the bike riders, so I'm kind of curious about that.
yeah.
Quiet Place, day one. That's
I
going
already
to be
said that. I already said that one.
that. I don't listen when you talk.
No, I can tell.
And then the third installment of the X movies, Maxine, is going to come out as well. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the second one, so I'm kind of over.
Fine.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for movie news. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you check out our other episodes. We just reviewed Bad Boys, like we just mentioned it. We just reviewed that one, so check that one out. Drew and I just reviewed, in Paul's old ass movie classics, we reviewed Stalag 17, which is a World War II POW movie. And then we also reviewed Wedding Crashers, if you haven't seen that yet. So make sure you check those out. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you all. Thanks for joining us. And with that, Pete, that is Capt. Thank you.